listening to this?
I'm careful all the time.
What do you understand by the doctrine of the separation of powers under the Westminster system?
Of the
Westminster system.
The
doctrine of the separation of powers under the Westminster system.
No, I don't quite know what you're driving at. The document.
I'll say it again. What do you understand by the doctrine of the separation of powers under the Westminster system?
I don't know which doctrine you refer to.
There's only one doctrine of the separation of powers.
I believe in it very strongly, and despite what you may say, I believe that we have a great responsibility to the people who elect us to government, and that is to maintain their freedom and their rights. I did that. Thought to do it always.
I'm sure you're trying to be responsive to the question, but the question relates to the doctrine of the separation of powers under the Westminster system, or the principles.
Between the government and the... Is it?
No, you tell me what you understand.
Well, the doctrine you refer to in relation to where the government stands, and where the rest of the community stands, and where the rest of the instruments of government stand. Is that what?
No.
Well, you tell me, and I'll tell you whether you're right or not. Don't you know?
You see, when you received your knighthood, one of the matters that was suggested in the preamble to why you got your knighthood was that you were a strong believer in historic traditions of parliamentary democracy, that you had implemented many improvements in the parliamentary process, and you had rendered extraordinary and important service to the Crown, etc. Now, for years, the Westminster system has functioned, and you repeatedly have stated that you are a great believer in the Westminster system.
Yes.
The question is, do you have any comprehension at all of the three areas under the Westminster system that must be kept separate in order for parliamentary democracy to function?
Yes, I do.
Well, what are they?
Well, I think the system of election, the area of government itself, responsibility to the people.
I'll explain to you what the doctrine of the separation of powers under the Westminster system is, and you tell me if you understand it.
Sure.
Because I don't want to waste the Commission's time by asking you again. It's a requirement under the Westminster system that the executive government and the judiciary and the enforcement arm, namely the police, be kept as separate as possible, subject to the concept of cabinet government.
Yes, that's the important part.
And that there be checks and balances within the system.
Sure.
Well, I suggest to you that your interference in relation to the decision of Mr. Hodges and Mr. Whitrod to investigate the Coronation Drive bashing, you, not being police minister, and interfering in that particular process, flew completely in the face of those principles.
No, I don't believe I did.